Footage from Epstein's Island and an interview from Ghislaine Maxwell prove exactly what happened to Epstein and how Oprah is trying to escape the same fate.
What if one of the most beloved figures in entertainment had been hiding something massive right in plain sight? What if the same files that brought down one of the most powerful predators in history also contained a name that nobody in mainstream media wanted to say out loud? The Epstein files are finally being released in full, and buried deep inside them is a pattern that keeps pointing to the same Hollywood circles, the same private jets, and the same silence. Today, we're breaking down exactly what's in those files, what Dave Chappelle warned us about years ago, and why Oprah Winfrey's sudden disappearance from public life in 2024 may not have been about the flu at all. Back in 2024, a partial release of court documents related to the Epstein case was first made public. It was the first time real names, flight logs, leaked emails, and direct connections began to surface in an official capacity. And almost immediately after that release, Oprah Winfrey vanished from the public eye. The official story, delivered by her close friend Gayle King on CBS Mornings, was that Oprah had come down with a severe stomach flu, so bad that she ended up in the emergency room for dehydration within 4 drip. Gayle was apologetic, slightly oversharing, and quick to reassure everyone that Oprah would be just fine. And for a while, most people accepted that explanation without question. But now, details are emerging that paint a very different picture. According to multiple sources, that sudden illness was less about a stomach bug and more about getting out of the spotlight, because buried deep in those newly released documents was Oprah's name. With the Department of Justice's full release of the Epstein files, her name reportedly appears more than 100 times in connection to Jeffrey Epstein, including alleged entries in flight logs from the Lolita Express, Epstein's private jet. According to those logs, Oprah is said to have flown on at least 11 separate flights with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, being on the same plane doesn't automatically prove wrongdoing, but the pattern is impossible to ignore. Diddy's parties, Harvey Weinstein's yacht, Epstein's plane, and his Zorro ranch in New Mexico. The same names keep appearing in the same circles, and Oprah's name keeps showing up right alongside them. When pressed about the online speculation surrounding her, Oprah responded emotionally, saying it broke her heart when people made accusations against her. She insisted she had lived an honorable life and had never consciously done anything to harm another person. She called the conspiracy theories about children crazy and sad. But critics were quick to point out that this was the same woman whose South African school for girls became the center of a major abuse scandal. Launched in 2007, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls faced serious allegations just a few years after opening. A female dorm matron was accused of physically and sexually abusing more than 15 students. Multiple students later came forward claiming that leadership knew far more than it admitted. And rather than taking full accountability, Oprah's response, according to some accounts, suggested the girls may have been confused or unreliable witnesses. What made that response even more disturbing was a resurfaced clip that began circulating around the same time as the file releases. In it, Oprah appears to make a statement defending grooming by suggesting that young children who are being sexually touched may actually feel physical pleasure and not immediately recognize it as abuse. The clip caused an immediate firestorm online, with many viewers calling it one of the most troubling things they had ever heard from a public figure of her stature. Whether taken in or out of context, the timing of its resurfacing was devastating for her public image. And Oprah isn't the only name circling this story. Dave Chappelle had been warning about the machinery of Hollywood for years. He walked away from a $50 million deal, not because he lost his mind, as the industry wanted the public to believe, but because he understood exactly what that money was designed to do. Chappelle has spoken openly about how these contracts are used as control mechanisms. Accept the money, and you accept the leash. Cat Williams echoed the same message, saying that Chappelle was deliberately made to look unstable for refusing to play along. The industry, according to Williams, has a system for handling people who say no, and it starts with labeling them crazy. Chappelle himself described it clearly. He talked about Mariah Carey signing a $100 million deal and within months being portrayed as mentally unstable. He talked about Martin Lawrence waving a gun in the street screaming that people were trying to kill him. He connected these public meltdowns to a very specific moment in each career, right when these artists were about to cross into a new level of power and independence. The industry, Chappelle argued, doesn't break you randomly. It breaks you strategically, and they tried to do the same to him. By the time his flight landed in Ohio after leaving Los Angeles, the narrative had already been written. The difference was that Chappelle saw it coming. Seal was one of the first celebrities to publicly challenge Oprah's positioning as a moral authority in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal. When Oprah stood on stage and gave a powerful speech about speaking truth to power, Seal posted a photo of Oprah warmly embracing and kissing Weinstein, with a caption that directly questioned her credibility. He implied that she had known about Weinstein's behavior for years and had chosen to stay silent. Oprah never responded directly to the post. Seal didn't follow up with further comment. But the image lingered, and it still does. Meanwhile, new footage has resurfaced from the Steve Harvey show showing a segment in which a guest demonstrates an Oprah-endorsed anti-aging skincare product made from growth hormones derived from human foreskin cells. The clip itself became a source of dark humor online, with Steve Harvey's horrified reaction becoming a meme. But in the context of the Epstein revelations, conspiracy theorists have pointed to it as something far more sinister. They've connected it to a broader Hollywood obsession with stem cell technology, blood-based treatments, and the harvesting of biological material from young donors. One of Oprah's former guests was even caught on video attempting to solicit aborted fetuses from Black women in exchange for cash, framing it as an investment in genetic research. The footage is deeply disturbing and speaks to a culture within certain elite circles that treats the human body as a commodity. The recently released Epstein emails suggest that Epstein himself was deeply interested in genetic medicine and longevity science. Investigators found a $2,000 invoice from 2014 for genome sequencing, along with estimates for personalized longevity treatments involving gene editing. He was reportedly enrolled in the Personal Genome Project at Harvard University. And according to multiple victim testimonies, his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, currently being searched by investigators after emails claimed 2 foreign girls were strangled and buried on the property, was allegedly used for far more than parties and networking. Victims described being drugged, waking up near medical equipment, and having no memory of what had been done to them. The coded language embedded throughout the files has also drawn significant attention. The word pizza appears hundreds of times in emails and documents, alongside references to ice cream and grape soda, in contexts where those words make no logical sense. Law enforcement has not officially confirmed that these are code words, but the pattern has fueled intense speculation online that they represent something far darker. Cat Williams, in one of his now famous interviews, described Epstein not as an independent predator, but as a supplier, someone who knew what the most powerful people in the world wanted and made sure they got it. In exchange, he got protection, access, and silence. And yet, the FBI has maintained that Epstein acted alone, despite over 3 million files connecting him to some of the most powerful people on the planet. No one else has been formally charged in connection with his trafficking network. Ghislaine Maxwell, now serving a long prison sentence, has stated publicly that she does not believe Epstein died by suicide. She has refused to name names, but her defiance of the official narrative continues to raise questions. When asked directly whether she witnessed any high-profile figures in inappropriate situations with Epstein's victims, her answers were carefully worded, and her denials, to many observers, raised more questions than they answered. Meanwhile, investigators are now combing through thousands of acres at the Zorro Ranch. Epstein's Island, Little St. James, referred to by many as Pedo Island, was photographed in detail during a 2020 federal raid. The images, recently released by members of Congress, don't show a glamorous elite playground. Instead, they reveal something almost more disturbing in its banality: boxes stacked in corners, scattered papers, bare shelves, outdated technology, and cameras installed in multiple rooms. Phones with names on speed dial, some of them redacted with black marks that still haven't been explained. The luxury was a facade. What was underneath, it was something far more methodical and cold. The pattern here is difficult to dismiss as coincidence. The same names, the same circles, the same strategic silence every time something surfaces. Whether it's million-dollar contracts designed to buy loyalty, connections forged on private jets and private islands, or industries that close ranks the moment one of their own is exposed. Something has clearly been holding this together for a very long time. And the people who try to speak up about it, they either got labeled crazy, had their careers quietly dismantled, or found themselves on the wrong end of a very powerful machine. So here's the question worth sitting with. Is all of this simply a string of uncomfortable coincidences surrounding people who happen to know each other? Or is this the slow unraveling of something that has been operating in the open for decades, hiding behind wealth, philanthropy, and carefully managed public images? The files are out there. The names are surfacing, and the silence is getting harder to maintain. What do you think is really going on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is just getting started. If you want to stay ahead of these breakdowns as new information comes out, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The truth doesn't wait, and neither should you.
These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you gotta be out of your monkey.
You can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid.
Yeah, but we spent
I bid $500 for, you know.
I'm prepared to outbid him anyway.
Whatever I bid, he's gonna outbid me.
I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have abortion, that's very valuable. You know, umbilical cord, you know, placenta, you know, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be.